We announced just a few weeks ago that we have now 75 million installations of Windows 10, and that's a much higher rate of growth than we had for any prior version of Windows. So we're very excited about that. And the reason that it's interesting for the 3D printing industry is because Windows 10 natively supports a number of 3D printing technologies. So the print system in Windows 10 supports 3D printers, and that means that if you plug in a printer, you'll see a nice little icon with the printer appear, and it will install a driver automatically if the manufacturer has cooperated with us, and you'll get a plug-and-play experience with that printer, which is just a huge step forward. And when I think about where we were just 2 or 3 years ago, installing a printer, and it just was difficult, right? And it's still probably true for many devices, but we really are seeing a lot of interest from the manufacturers in wanting to work with us in providing drivers. So that's the first step, right? You've now got a printer that's installed, and what's the next step? Well, you want to be able to take content and send it to that printer. And so that's where we're really pleased with the industry collaboration that's going on with the 3MF Consortium. We really recognized a couple of years ago that there was a problem with the file formats. If we tried to standardize on STL in Windows, then we lost information like color information, and you can save an STL file and reload it, and sometimes it's broken. So it just was a very fragile format, and not something that we felt that we could build our experience upon. So we looked at other formats. There's plenty of formats that are not for printing. OBJ is for rendering. So as Alex said in his talk at this conference earlier today, you can have a case where you've got a white sphere in a red light, and you upload that to a print service, and does it print it in red or does it print it in white? So there are things like that that we have to solve, and we solve it by having a format that is actually dedicated towards printing. It's designed from the beginning to support 3D printing, and that's the solution. So now we support that natively in Windows 10. 75 million users, growing rapidly, have access to this technology. And then the other thing we want to do in Windows to make it really accessible to people is just have that experience of 3D be really part of the operating system. So in Windows 10, if you've got 3D files in your documents folder, and you open it up and look at it, you get a nice little thumbnail icon showing you what that is. So if you're looking for a particular 3D model, it just makes it much more efficient and productive to find that. So yeah, overall, I'm really pleased with what we've done in Windows 10 to support 3D. So at Microsoft, we have a long history of engaging with partners to deliver complete end-to-end solutions, and so we're doing that on a number of fronts. One is, as I mentioned earlier, the work we're doing with the manufacturers to get plug-and-play support for devices, and to get devices really supported end-to-end within Windows. So if a device is out of material, we really like to be able to make it possible for the application to represent that to the user. So if you're in a product trying to print something and the printer doesn't have any material, you know that before you go through the process of trying to send it to the device. And then the second collaboration that I'm really happy about is the 3MF Consortium. I personally, I've spent many years building relationships and building consortium to work on different technologies across various industries. And the 3MF Consortium is by far and away the most successful industry consortium I've ever worked on. And it's really because we clearly hit a need. Every company that I talked to had identified that they needed to solve this file format problem. I would go out and meet with them and say, I think this is a problem. This is the problem that we are having. And they just said, yeah, we're having exactly the same problem, and let's solve it. So it was actually relatively straightforward. And we managed to build a consortium we started last October or November, and we went through, and by April 30th of this year, we had not only established the consortium, but released the specification, and we had source code up on GitHub, free and available for anyone to use. And that's my main message about 3MF today, is that anyone can use it. Go ahead and use it. The specification's available. The licensing allows you to use it without any sort of payment or royalty, and we have source code to help you. Yeah, so that's a good question. My personal feeling is that attempts to standardize things, they need to happen at the right time. If you attempt to standardize something too early, then you lose some agility. And I think it's really important for where we are now in the industry, when there's a lot of emerging technology, that we want to make sure that we can be agile enough to meet the needs of our partners without having to spend a lot of time thinking about how we standardize particular features. I'll say one other thing about that. One of the principles we have in the consortium is that we really want to develop things that actually meet the needs of the industry. We don't want to work on technology that is, for some perceived invented or perhaps a future need. We really want to make sure that we've got partners who are producing product that really need the things that we're working on. So we're pragmatic in that respect, and I think that really helps give us a lot of focus, because when we're meeting to discuss what we should do next, generally the people in the room are working on products that they're trying to take to market in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, and so they're very focused on us building a solution that supports the needs that they have today. I think there's a lot of hype in the consumer side of 3D printing, and I was reading a Gartner report recently, and they talked about how 3D printing is sort of descending into hype. But I've talked to a lot of people who are serious manufacturers, and they are spending millions and tens of $millions on building plants to do additive manufacturing. So, the stuff that gets in the news isn't always the sexiest stuff. Is always the sexiest stuff. Correct that. But where the money is being made, that I don't think there's any hype there. I think that's real.